Hi, everyone. This is Angie Smith. I'm a stress resilience coach, cognitive behavior therapist, and author of my first book, Fear Less of More. In today's masterclass, I'd like to discuss a really odd topic because, how can I tell if I'm depressed or burnt out? The reason I'm saying it's odd is because burnout and depression are two mental health conditions. They're often confused with one another. Now, burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by this prolonged stress. It's responsible for prolonged and unmanaged, work and how your body feels and how you're really stressed out. If you are burnt out, you also may have physical symptoms like fatigue, headache, weakened immune system, and especially in a demanding job where there's a high stress environment and you feel burnt out because you have lost your motivation and your work performance goes down. Whereas depression is a mental health condition. It is characterized by this persistent feeling of sadness, hopelessness, lack of wanting to do anything. And it's quite serious and it can have a significant impact on your quality of life. It's not a sign of weakness or a personal failing, and it can affect anyone, regardless of what your background is or your circumstances are. Now, what are the key challenges with burnout and depression? Depression is a clinical diagnosis. People with depression experience that inability to enjoy activities that they once loved to do. With burnout, you might have the energy to do these, but with depression, you might not find them fun or pleasant at all. As with burnout, people with depression feel that they sleep a lot or too little. They may struggle with focus. Also, if you have depression, you isolate yourself from other people because you feel you don't want to be in other people's presence. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to shower, to eat. Depression can induce this overwhelming sense of sadness and hopelessness. In several cases, people with depression may start having thoughts that they are worthless or life is not worth living. Now, the key differentiator is that burnout gets better when you step away from work, when you take some time off. Whereas depression, it doesn't go away until you change your circumstance or you go and see the doctor and, get some proper help. Now, I would think one of the main key differences between burnout and depression is their cause. In today's fast-paced world, burnout and depression are increasingly common. It's important to understand they're different and require different types of treatment. If you're experiencing the symptoms of burnout or depression, it is very important, I suggest here, that you seek help from a mental health professional or a medical doctor. With proper diagnosis and treatment, you can learn to manage and regain that control of your life. Again, I want to emphasize that depression is a mental health disorder and it's more general. It just doesn't go away once that stress is removed, whereas burnout does. Depression does not always have a trigger, but depression will erode your self-esteem. Now, burnout develops in stages. Initially, it's a honeymoon phase when you think that you're just tired, you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, but this is the onset of stress. Then it develops into chronic stress. Then you have burnout. Then you have an habitual burnout because so used to feeling overwhelmed, tired, and you're unable to cope that you don't even do anything. Now, burnout is easy to treat, but you will struggle with that inefficiency at work. Now, burnout numbers are rising. You can avoid it if you're prepared to do some inner work. I think if you dig deep and you understand that something needs to change, you can carry on as you are and expect things to be different. But if you want not to struggle with burnout, things need to change, and you must want them as well. I don't mean that we have just come into the new year and you do all the new year BS, like you start to exercise, but at the end of the month, you then struggle to keep going. So I mean really understanding who you are at the core, what drives you, what makes you tick, what's important to you, what do you care about, what are your values, what are your strengths, what brings you joy, why do you do the things that you do? Look inwards. If you want to know why you're on the verge of burnout, look inwards if you want to stop feeling exhausted and overworked. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit of a story about Maria. Now, she said it was very hard to tell the difference now that she understood what they both are. It's basically the same thing, she said. You can't tell if you're exhausted all the way around or you're burnt out. Because she understands that burnout is actually a medical condition. Now, I'm going to relay her words to you. I think I started to call in sick more and more often at work. I found no enjoyment in things that made me feel so happy before. I would lock myself in the room for most entire days because I didn't feel like socializing. I came out to get food and drink, but then I didn't feel like eating them. I was like starving myself, not having eaten all day, but instead making a meal, she ate snacks. I sometimes don't like to eat at all. How to manage and prevent burnout and depression? The best way is a proactive approach towards your mental health, prioritizing your self-care, making time for activities you enjoy, setting some realistic and achievable goals, managing stress through exercise, meditation, therapy, building a support system of friends and family, seeing a mental health professional if need be. Now, the strategies I'd recommend that will help you with your depression and burnout. Whether you notice the difference or whether you know it's the same, is the first point is taking a mental health day or a sad off work day. If you're able to, it can offer a reprieve from the symptoms. You feel constantly burnt out. You might want a career change, but it's not as easy as I'm saying. There are some smaller ways. You can set boundaries, like turning off your notifications from your email or your Slack at certain hours. Now, if there is a meeting that you're dreading, I would suggest taking 5 or 10 minutes before so it can help you can relax. Exercise will help with work-related tension. Carve even a few minutes to decompress without your phone. Try some meditation or some mindfulness. Your brain needs a break to buffer against the stress. That means stepping away from your screen, take a few moments of quiet, sitting with your thoughts without any distractions. You can also write some of the coping mechanisms that is helpful to you, calling a friend, going on a quick run. Keep this list on your desk or on your dresser when you need to. Pay attention with what works for you and then repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Thank you for watching. I look forward to, looking at your comments in the comment box below, and